Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're going to talk about Unintended Consequences. This video is sponsored by CMO Games. More on that later. Alright, so Games Workshop has made a series of decisions over the last couple of years, and now we are starting to see some of the unintended consequences. And like always in our very divisive hobby, many people are looking at this as a net positive, and many people are looking at it as a net negative. So I want to explore both sides of that. Alright, so Games Workshop has announced that they're going to be doing a made-to-order, limited time only, basically for a week, from Saturday up until the 2nd of October. So it's like Saturday till Monday. And in that made-to-order is a bunch of the old pieces of terrain that they used to offer. The Wall of Martyrs or Imperial Defense Line. So we see first the old Aegis Defense Line, and then of course we have the Bastion as well. And then we have our regular old trenches. We have the trench-like connection pieces. And then our little bunker, and then finally, the one that most excites me, the Sky Shield landing pad. So most of these terrain pieces are still pretty cool. The scale is a little bit off on them, but they were getting pretty hard to find. And some of them, like the landing pad and like specifically the bunker for its line of sight blocking, are just really nice pieces that Games Workshop doesn't offer anything really comparable to. So they went away at kind of a weird time. They were out of stock for a while. I personally had some of these items on order, and then suddenly they were just removed from the catalog after months of not filling the orders, and there was just no more talk about them. So they kind of just went away silently in the night. So naturally, for me, I think this is a net positive. The ability for people to be able to pick these up, to buy them directly from Games Workshop on a made-to-order basis, guaranteed to get them, especially for people that might want to build a themed board or something like that and want multiples of these pieces. But obviously, the longer they're out of print and the harder they are to find, the more expensive they get. So that's the net positive. These things were gone. You couldn't get them for a long time. The aftermarket prices were getting really high on this stuff, and the supply available was getting pretty low. So overall, I gotta say, it's a good thing that Games Workshop is offering these, and because it's made to order, you're guaranteed to get as many as you want, but you will have to wait up to 6 months. So it's easy to see the positive side of this. And honestly, if you don't want any of this stuff, or you think it's going to come back into the catalog overpriced, which you're probably right, you can just skip it and it's like it never happened. But I do understand the other side of the argument, so let's jump over to Games Workshop's catalog. So the other side of the argument is obviously that Games Workshop does not like to keep a bunch of stock. They basically make stuff, ship it out to all the stores. They tend to take advantage of scarcity, so they don't have to store a bunch of product because it's expensive to keep, it's expensive to move around. And it's much better if just everybody wants all your stuff right away and you can just get rid of it and then move on to the next thing. Unfortunately, as we've seen in the Tyrannid range, the problem with that is you end up in a situation like this where you have model kits that are like 2 years, 5 years, even 10 or more years old, but are completely out of stock. And not just directly from Games Workshop, but all over the internet, all over the world. So the problem with this is obviously people want to collect these models, they want to play the game, and they're not able to do that, especially when a lot of the catalog, in this case like 75% of it, has been out of stock for months and months at a time. And Games Workshop has been running at capacity, maximum manufacturing, for like over a year now. And because of Games Workshop's new strategy, more Warhammer more often, we know there is a constant stream of releases that is taking up Games Workshop's manufacturing. So they don't want to store their products and keep like a big stock of them. Whenever they do a run of stuff, it pops back up in the store and then it's sold out again. And the never-ending supply of new stuff coming out takes up the capacity of Games Workshop's manufacturing. And obviously we know Games Workshop is very reluctant to ever reinvest any kind of money. They would much rather pay a big fat dividend, increase the amount of goods and services that they can provide to the world. So not the best business decision. So we have two main issues here. One is a series of terrain that essentially was removed from the catalog and went out of production, and now it's going to be offered for a limited time only on made to order. And then of course we have the existing catalog, in this case Tyrannids, but we could look at Space Marines or Eldari or any of the others and see that this is definitely a problem plaguing Games Workshop's entire range of miniatures. So they can't keep up with the new production, they can't get caught up on the old production, and now they want to do a made to order production run. And I know this sounds absolutely moronic to a lot of people out there. Obviously, if you can't do the work that you're supposed to be doing or you want to be doing, you're not going to like pick up extra shifts that you're not going to be able to handle. But I actually see both sides of this. Now, I'm not going to make excuses for a Games Workshop and their entire catalog being like sold out, because honestly, there's no excuse that's acceptable. It's great that they have this much demand. I love Games Workshop. I love Warhammer and the IP. So naturally, I want them to do well so they can make more stuff, be more successful, and bring more joy to the community. But unfortunately, if they're running over capacity and they can't keep up, that's just not what happens. And you end up disenfranchising more and more people because they have stuff on order for months at a time and never get it, or they try to buy new pre-releases and it's sold out instantly. So why on earth would a company that's already having serious manufacturing issues decide that they're going to suddenly manufacture something that's been out of print for literally years? Now a quick message from today's sponsor. CMO Games has been selling Games Workshop products online for over 20 years. They carry the full line of Games Workshop products, including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Necromunda, Blood Bowl, paint tools, and more. Almost all Games Workshop products are priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games takes pre-orders for most Games Workshop products released at their earliest date possible. 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, they go live. Most of these pre-order products are also priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games offer free shipping in the US 48 with an order of $50 or more. Their customer service is top-notch and they ship most orders within 24 hours. Visit CMOGames.com using the affiliate link in the description and let them know that you heard about CMO Games from Warhammer Man. Now back to the video. And the truth is, I think it's a big brain play by Games Workshop. They're basically betting on a situation playing out that seems pretty likely. They're betting that sometime in the next 6 months, they're going to have a little bit of lull in production. They're either not going to be making as much stuff, so it's going to be Warhammer just a little less often. Maybe they will have been caught up on the actual store and restocking of the entire range, especially Warhammer 40,000. Maybe they have new machines on order that are going to be set up, or they have new workers that are going to increase productivity. I honestly don't know. But I think the way that Games Workshop does the made to order, that they're basically covering their tail. So at some point in time in the next 6 months, and they could wait until the absolute last minute because they have 180 days to dispatch these items. So sometime in the next 6 months, Games Workshop is basically just betting that things are going to slow down a little bit. They're either going to have a few less new items coming off the assembly line. They're going to have had an opportunity to stock up on like the various kits and refill the catalog. Or maybe they're just going to have a little extra time, a little extra use of those machines to pump out this made-to-order set. And who knows, maybe these will completely flop and nobody will buy them anyway because they're going to be extremely overpriced. Maybe they'll be extremely underpriced and they'll see a ridiculous amount of demand for these as they are super cool and hard to get. I honestly don't know, but by giving themselves a 6-month window, that seems like a big brain play to me. Now, granted, Games Workshop has been extremely busy and running at capacity for essentially years at this point in time. So maybe betting that that's going to come to an end doesn't seem like the best bet. But I really think Games Workshop is banking on the possibility that at some point in time, things are going to slow down, either their new stuff or manufacturing of their old stuff. And they're going to have a few days or a few weeks to go ahead and throw on some of the old molds, pop out some of these old kits, and sell them at a premium. Makes people that missed out on them happy. Lets Games Workshop have a 6-month window with prepaid products because people have already bought them, and then Games Workshop can manufacture them at their earliest convenience. So they basically have like a little filler, something to do in between big releases and stuff like that. I think it's a big brain play. Games Workshop is trying to essentially judge what the market's going to look like, what the economy is going to look like, what the future is going to look like 6 months out. They've got enough of a time margin that just sometime in the next 6 months, they got to squeeze in this little bit of production. So I get it. I get what they're doing. I think that probably there's going to be some orders for this stuff, but it's not going to be insane. So I don't think it's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back, so to speak. So I get it. I get both sides of the situation. I understand what Games Workshop's trying to do, have a little extra money come in and then be able to fill these orders at will. I also understand why people are upset that they're bringing back a bunch of stuff on a made-to-order basis for a limited time with no advance notice, and they're doing it at a time when their catalog is the most depleted it has ever been. So I get it. I get both sides of the argument, and I don't know which one is right or which one is wrong. But I know Games Workshop is attempting to make a speculative play. They're locking in a bunch of income, a bunch of orders, and they're giving themselves a nice big window to deliver. So it doesn't seem like a bad idea to me. I get why they're doing it, and honestly, I think overall it's good. Now, it would be great if the majority of their catalog wasn't currently sold out, and I don't think anybody would have any problem with this. Because if it came back and it was too expensive, you would just say, no, thank you, that's too expensive. And if it came back and it was super cheap and super popular, everybody would be extremely glad to just get a hold of some. So it wouldn't bother most people. I think the only reason that people actually care is because the majority of the catalog is sold out, and now they're suddenly out of nowhere deciding to bring back a bunch of kits that haven't been available for years. So the timing definitely doesn't seem like the brightest, but I do think with that 6-month window that we've got a pretty good idea what Games Workshop is thinking. There's going to be a slowdown. They'll have an opportunity to manufacture some of this stuff and just generate a little bit of extra revenue and provide a little extra product to people that have been after these. So is it going to work out that way? I don't know. Only time will tell. I think for me, the main concern is that we're coming up on the end of the year. We're about to have a new season of Warcry starting. We're about to have a new season of Kill Team starting. As we enter into Q4, the majority of Games Workshop's manufacturing goes towards making the Christmas boxes. Last year, we saw a record number of 15 Christmas boxes for Warhammer 40,000 and Age of Sigmar. And then by the time we finish out the end of the year, we take care of these next 3 months. That only leaves Games Workshop another 90 days to get all this stuff manufactured. And that's assuming this whole entire time that they are refilling their catalog, which is over 50% sold out. I think probably they sell a handful of these at an overinflated price. They probably squeeze them in somewhere along the way in the latter half of that 6-month period. And by the time they do show up, most people are probably going to have forgotten about them. And in the meantime, Games Workshop is going to continue Games Workshopping. We're going to continue to see new, fresh stuff, more Warhammer, more often. The catalog is going to stay mostly sold out. And the stuff that's strong in-game, particularly Warhammer 40,000 miniatures, will continue to be hard to find. So do I think this is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back and pushes Games Workshop over the edge, where they just fall behind on manufacturing and just can't catch back up? No, I don't think it will be, because I'm pretty sure that that's already happening right now. And I doubt that this is going to be such a big sales event that it really affects the company at all. So let me know what you think down below. Obviously, a lot of people are excited for this stuff coming back. Obviously, a lot of people are extremely disappointed and frustrated with Games Workshop's inability to stock their existing line or provide adequate product for new releases. But we're obviously seeing the unintended consequences of Games Workshop's business plan playing out. And realistically, until they get the catalog stocked back up, get a bunch of product in the hands of the friendly local game stores, and slow down the new releases for the more Warhammer more often, I'm just not sure anything's going to change. So I understand both sides of the argument, and realistically, I think there's a big brain play from Games Workshop, giving themselves that 6-month window and probably not going to have to manufacture a ton of stuff. All they got to do is pull out some old molds, dust them off, inject a little plastic, and they got 6 months to do it. So let me know what you think down below. Always like to hear back from you guys in the comments. Are you excited to pick up some of this MTO stuff? Is this a big brain play by Games Workshop, grabbing a bunch of cash in advance, and then on a couple of slow days, a few months from now, shooting a little plastic and filling the orders? Is the lack of inventory of the existing range going to slowly continue death spiraling as Games Workshop reaps the unintended consequences of its actions? I don't know. I guess time will tell. But it looks to me like over the last 3, 6, 9, 12 months, the existing supply of Warhammer in the catalog and at stores is diminishing, and the new supply of releases and stuff coming out is consistently inadequate. But hey, if Games Workshop wants to speculate on some made-to-order terrain and bring it back for people like me, I'm happy to pick some up. Special thanks to CMO Games for sponsoring the video. Check them out to save 15%. Link in the description on Warhammer products. That's it for today. Warhammer Man Studios, I'm Warhammer Man, and I don't know if this is a big brain play or it's going to expose the unintended consequences, but I'll be around to see it play out in real time. And I'm out of here.